Okay, so right now we're immersed in the ocean waves that set the record going.
Yeah.
We're going to go on a journey through the songs on the record, and we begin at a ball.
Yeah.
What's the significance of beginning at this ball? That's the name. The name of the song is Kobayashi's Ball.
Yes. Well, so it's a bunch of different references all tied into one here. But Masaki Kobayashi is one of my favorite Japanese film directors. And
which films has he directed?
So the two that I'm really into that I'll talk about briefly are Harakiri and Kwaidan. Kwaidan being a collection of 4 traditional Japanese ghost stories. And at the time it was filmed, it was the most expensive Japanese film ever made. Maybe even expensive film period at the time, which it's either 1962 or 1968. The stages, like the actual stages, like for example, there's an intermission in the movie and you come back and there's this like crazy battle scene that takes it's a long time. I mean, this is a built stage and they're in, several feet of water, and they've got like this samurai sort of battle going on, and it's just absolutely insane. Anyways, Woman in the Snow, not to jump to that, is written directly in reference to one of the ghost stories in Kwaidan.
There is a woman in the snow in the ghost story. And what's the woman in the snow doing? Is there something?
The woman in the
sinister
snow, the woman in the snow is trying to lure a lumberjack out of their house, so that they can like. Oh gosh, the plot is even deeper than that though. It's like, if you ever tell anybody about me, I'll freeze you to death.
The woman in the snow.
It's dark. It's a crazy film.
Alluring, but also threatening.
Yeah, and I think there's maybe a little extra plot twist to that. That movie it's crazy. It takes a second to like start, so if you watch it, stick with it. But it's very much worth watching. The other one I mentioned was Harakiri, which is literally one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. The plot is ingenious. The music is crazy. I think that might be the 1962 vibe. But again, that's Kobayashi. The plot in dialogue stands up to any number of best films you've ever seen.
Does the music, you reference the music, does that influence any of your music?
It goes pretty hard. Like I think it's a biwa maybe. It's like pretty intense, like strings only, like sort of distortion-y sounding, and obviously it wasn't distortion, it was just the way that the timbre of the instrument. But I just love it because it's so intense and beautiful.
Why then do we find ourselves at that director's ball at the beginning of the record?
Because I think he informed sort of my imagination during that period of time.
Yeah.
And I always think it's great to be at a vibes ball. If you're like, I don't know, I'm just like somewhat of a romantic dude, and like I just think it's really great to imagine being at like a ball. Yeah,
it really sets the scene. You get a sense of location.
Yeah. You got like the saxophone section or whatever. And basically this song was written kind of like a jazz standard. I mean, the melody is very, very standard-y. It's sung. It's almost as if it could be like in a jazz set or something. It's sort of concise. The chord change, a lot of 2-5-1s.
Yeah, I was going to say, the chords. What is the chord sequence there in the verse?
A flat to D flat, so like 1-4 1, and then we get that diminished passing tone, and then a 2-5-1. I think that's what it is.
But we simultaneously have the sense of being in this like busy public place, ball.
Yeah.
But then I think this opening track does give us a sense of the introspection that's going to come later on in the record. And just listening to the just the journey that we go, just the chord sequence journey in the verse, I think that did a really good job of like doing both of those things. So at the ball I recall, these are the lyrics over those chords. At the ball I recall when you said, here's the truth. And then fruitless nights, is that?
Fruitless lives.
Fruitless lives.
So sublime. Damn. So that's the
thoughts I'd
real.
improve.
Damn is so. This is a conversation basically.
Yeah. It's like dialogue from the movie.
Yeah, I mean, if fruitless lives so sublime, it's like someone telling another person about how, you know, it's possible to just do nothing, or like not develop or get to a certain place or something, you know.
And at this,
And then,
at the ball, you could imagine that kind of, we were all kind of relaxed at the ball.
But weird conversations happen at parties. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I've had some really strange encounters at parties, and like, even in like a really like dressed up setting too. There's people just talking about the most bizarre stuff, or like, you know how everyone just always wants to talk about like where you're going in life, or like, you know, like what's your lot in life, kid, or like, you know, how much money are you making, or like all that crazy stuff that people just like sometimes just need to like chill and like just be in a place.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't. Not that that's directly reflecting on there, but you know, this is like a realization. Oh damn! Like, I thought I would improve. I thought I'd get there. You know, those are literally the lyrics of the song.
Yeah.
To seem like a time for the ages, but to cut deep, hardly painless at all.
That's interesting too, because to cut deep, one might expect the next lyric to be hardly painful at all. So it's cut deep, but it's hardly painful, because you'd expect it to be painful.
Because this stuff can get at you, and you don't know until you know.
Right.
It's hardly painless at all, and I'm not so surprised.
You're not so surprised that there's the pain,
and that's,
which is the next lyric. Yeah. So you're at the ball, you're not expecting to have a painful experience, and yet you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
But here's the truth. Like, that's what it is. So.
And so the last place you might expect to go through this, to be challenged or to find oneself stepping back from life and thinking, oh, but am I on the right trajectory? Like, this could happen anywhere, anytime. And it happens to happen at the ball.
At the ball.
Yeah. And we talked about the cinematic nature of the record as a whole.
Yeah.
You're kind of simultaneously in the Kobayashi movie, Nelson Devereaux in Kobayashi's ball.
I guess so, yeah. Exactly. And then it goes to a different zone entirely, if you keep listening. But that's sort of an homage to Cat Sax in itself, I think.
How is it an homage to Cat Sax?
That's... So basically, like, well, I mean, because I'm using the same setup. I'm playing, you know, I'm playing alto. I'm using some of the same sounds that I would use in Cat Sax. But basically, this is our opening, and at the end of the song, you're being transported into this world, my brain, or whatever. The world of Nelson's imagination. That's what it. That end of the song. That's what that piece is there for. Okay, so it's like a window into Nelson's brain. And then we're there. And then once we're in his brain, we're in his bones, which is like the second track is called My Bones. Exactly. Which was the first single. So this is that, and that's like when whoever is the character in this movie or whatever who we're talking about, but it is like acknowledging that this is where they're coming from. And this is their goals. I mean, theoretically, this whole record could be a conversation at a weird ball. I mean, that could be what that is, and it could get you thinking about all that type of stuff. And there are moments where we go away from like all the hustle and bustle and have a more introspective conversation, but we could be at the ball the whole time. Exactly. Yeah. We've been talking a lot about recalibration and the constant effort to get the juggling act right. What balls should one be trying to juggle? And something that came up, especially in our previous conversation, was the idea of rest, like needing to. You were totally like physically and mentally drained at the time when you made the early Fall record, and the idea of getting rest, you know, comes up in My Bones. So it was interesting to kind of see that come up actually within the song.
the lyric has got no rest, isn't it? I'm going to I'm going to wish that sun ain't looking that bright. What's the lyric about the sun?
Okay, so I'm pointed west.
Okay.
I'm pointed west, the sun ain't looking so bright.
So we catch the protagonist then. If the first song is getting into the protagonist's mind, we're in it. The protagonist is saying, this is where I'm at. In answer to the question at the ball, where are you going? I'm pointing west.
But the sun ain't looking so bright.
Which fits with the idea of like early fall. When you were saying describing early fall, to me you were saying it's not just about like the season. It's about, you know, like the rise and fall in a human life.
Yeah. So
the idea of hitting a boundary, not being able, like the concern, you know, what if we can't recalibrate?
Right.
What if I've hit this brick wall and I've made a bad choice and I can't continue down this path?
Right.
The protagonist is having that kind of concern here.
Yeah, I think it mirrors a lot of people's, if they have like very strong desires to do certain things, and
yeah.
And then all of a sudden something happens and it just is not what it used to look like.
And then the metaphor, the song is called My Bones, and my bones are heavy inside. Yeah. I reach for my clothes, my bones are heavy inside.
It's like normal stuff you'd be doing every day, and it's just different.
Yeah. It's just hard. You feel drained. There's reference to light. There isn't a sense of life being light.
Right.
But then immediately after that, I'm alive. It's all right. Is what the lyric is, and then the song kind of transforms as well. So can you describe like how is the song transforming at this moment? What's the significance of those kind of less upbeat lyrics being immediately rebutted, perhaps? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, I think it's just an ode to sort of how the human brain can work in mysterious ways, and when you're down, you know, you can try to pull yourself back up by thinking about the things that you do have. I mean, don't wallow in that kind of stuff. I mean, this is obviously getting deep, but lots of people are fortunate enough to have fixtures in their lives that can help them out of bad situations, whatever that may be. Every time I hear your name, I'm starting up, I'm hoping that you feel the same, like it's pulling me back, you know, it's like, you know, you've got these certain scenarios in your life that can turn a bad day into a good day, you know? Right. So that's quite literally what it's about, so.
Yeah. So we've gone on the journey, we're at the ball, we go into the mind of the protagonist.
Yeah.
The protagonist is not feeling great, but then they're trying to kind of get themselves back on track.
Right.
And think there is a way. Like, there's always a way to recalibrate, even if a certain avenue isn't possible anymore. I can readjust and move on.
Yeah.
Whether or not that involves confronting the woman in the snow, who is both luring one and threatening to kill one if you tell anyone about her.
Right.
So sometimes there's these obstacles that we can't really. It's very private. The struggle that one has is very private. So we've got this metaphorical woman in the snow that you've got to deal with on your own.
I mean, yeah. Pretty much nailed it on that one.
That's what the song is about. But the song sounds really fun, and it is a song that has.
But that's the point. I mean, that's the you don't want to let anybody on.
Realize that you're having a hard time. But this one has a bunch of vocalists on. Who else is singing on this one?
My brother sings the low parts.
That's great. Those
the bassy ones. Yeah, my voice does not go to that.
There's just something so fun about his delivery there.
Yeah.
So that's Maxwell.
Yeah, that's Max, and then Deidre does some vocals on that one as well. The sort of weird kind of chordal beginning and ending. I really am stoked about how that song turned out in mixing.
That's one of my favorites.
As well, yeah. Max actually mixed that song. Yeah, it's very Max in terms of the way it was mixed. So, but yeah, that's kind of it, man.
The idea of going 50 pieces in a row, won't be long, won't be long. That's at the that's in the first verse, but that's also how the song ends, and that seemed really interesting to me. It goes, won't be long, won't be long.
Yeah.
It won't be long at all. Like the song is over.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So what's the idea of things, of pacing, and the idea of it not being long, and then that abrupt ending? Like, what's going on there?
We've just got this continuation of this sort of journey theme, I guess, going through this, the at least my bones as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're starting out on some sort of journey, and you gotta tell yourself it won't be long till wherever you're gonna arrive at.
Yeah.
You know, but you might have arrived before you even knew you got there.
There's this recurring idea that things will get better. You know, it's an arduous journey, but it won't be long.
Right.
But we keep on coming back to the protagonist is finding themselves like coming to this conclusion, perhaps in different settings. It's interesting, the idea of the relationship between like the individual that's on this journey or having these struggles, and then a broader community. When we were talking about Maxwell Parrish, this is one of your favorite paintings.
Oh man,
like
psychedelic
a mini version of it. Like to see the full version, you have to go to the MIA, but for a few minutes, there's one just here as well.
Yeah.
And so we have in the bottom right hand corner of this image, someone, they've got a musical instrument, if I recall. So what musical instrument they?
I mean, I would just call it panpipes.
Panpipes.
Yeah.
And
which I just got a set of, by the way.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So this really is you.
Maybe so. I don't know.
So the painting is called Maxwell Parrish's Dream Castle in the Sky. It's from 1908, and it's oil on canvas.
Yeah.
And you can see it at the MIA.
It's really striking.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And it's the first piece that we went to on our tour of the MIA.
Yeah.
And what's the significance? Can you remind us what's the significance of this painting for you? You've got the individual. There's like, is it a lake or a river?
Yeah, it's like a lake.
Big water's important.
Yeah, it's a huge body of water.
Yeah.
And then of course you have this like fantastic castle.
Yeah.
In the sky, and I mean it's just the dude kind of hanging out on the rocks. He's completely naked. Yeah. And he's just got his,
which suggests fragility. Yeah, do you think, or for you?
Perhaps, yeah. And
in terms of what draws you to this painting.
Yeah, and he's got his instrument, and he's sort of just kind of like checking out what's going on up there, and you know, he's in nature, and then there's this sort of man-made structure. It's just wild. It's a wild painting. It suggests a lot of different things. You know,
a sense of, like, aspiration to be in that castle, but also distance from it.
Right. Exactly. Is it? You know, you have to raise the question: why is he the person pictured? You know, is he part of the castle? Is he part of the society in which that runs that building of stone? You know. Perhaps he is, and he's taking a break down by the lake, you know, and he's playing.
Perhaps he's not invited to the ball.
Yeah, maybe he's not at the ball. Yeah. Maybe he's looking up at it lustfully, and he's wanting to get up there. And there's a lot of different ways you can think about that. You
said when we looked at this at the MIA that it was. I asked which project or projects, and does it share some attributes with, or does it remind you of? And you said Early Fall because it's solo Nelson.
Yeah.
And then I was saying at the end of the interview, you know, hopefully, you know, all your friends will join you.
Right.
Like, it won't just be Nelson with his panpipes.
Right.
You know? But and so now we do have this sense of everyone together, but this idea of aspiring to something together, not knowing what it is, and not knowing how to get there. To what extent does the, you know, back in the window again, the individual's journey, now you have all these other musicians working with you, do you think, and you said that they did exactly what you wanted them to do without you prescribing do this,
right?
So were they kind of picking up on some of these, like, in terms of what they're doing, in terms of the instrumentation, are they picking up on some of these themes, do you think? Or what was it like working on this record not alone, with this vast cast of characters?
Well, it's definitely kind of an undertaking. I don't know that many of them were intimately aware of like why I was writing the music that I was writing.
Yeah.
And really probably at all, honestly.
Yeah.
So that sort of was off the table. But like I said before, I feel like when you pick the right person for the job, or you know someone really well and you know how they play, you can get them. They're not gonna let you down in that way, or like at least that's what I look for in like a collaborator. You know, someone who's like gonna show up and like be themselves and do their thing. And I think for this project, it wouldn't at all be the record that it is without each individual person that was involved in this record, you know. And that to me was a very exciting prospect, to have the opportunity to go into the studio and sort of hand select people that I really, 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 really care about to make music with, and to make these songs come alive in sort of that way. So,
and given what the songs are about, and they're kind of pushing beyond isolation, you know, the metaphor of looking out the window and just seeing oneself, but still trying nevertheless to get out of oneself. Like, there's a kind of symbolic significance to that being the process, the collaborative process of turning it into what it became.
Right.
Which kind of sits nicely alongside like the lyrics and the themes.
Yeah.
I was thinking of this painting in particular in relation to A Woman in the Snow, because this mountain range's majesty is a focus, a lyrical focus. It comforts me. I hold the world up. So it's almost like, you know, with all of the sense of setting, like whether it's the ocean or the bull,
right,
or like the reference to a mountain range, something like this, like epic scene is being suggested.
Yeah.
And that seems to be nicely at odds with the focus on like the otherwise potentially solipsistic individual. It's like, get out of your head.
Exactly. And I've
Think
noticed,
about the scene.
Yeah, in my own life, it's like that. Those are the things that really get me out of thinking in circles sometimes, or like, you know, if you just need to go take a walk or something. But it's even more so if you're like surrounded by natural wonders, you know, a river, a lake, you know, mountains, the ocean, you know. We all have our preferences for those things, but that can take you out of it, and that helps a lot, you know, for people.
Those end up being as much characters in this cinematic album as Nelson, or as like as the protagonist, as the person responsible for the lyrics, I think.
Yeah. I mean, these basically a coping mechanisms almost for someone. Yeah, it's like a self-help album.
Well, so many albums are in it. Anyway.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's extremely cathartic, of course, but the themes involved.
The two poppiest songs, in a way, I think, or at least, I mean, maybe it's because they involve more like rock instrumentation.
Yeah.
Like Watch Out and Firefly to my ear. So Watch Out is very driven by the bass riff, and then there's a recurring guitar riff in Firefly. So focusing on Watch Out, I am absolutely dying, I think, is a lyric in that one. So this is like the low point. The Watch Out, the title, in the vocal refrain that comes in near the end and then is repeated near the end, that's where we get the reference to the title. I never ever want to have a broken heart because of you. Oh baby, you got to watch out. So it's almost like, here we have the character again, still trying to get things right, get the right balance. There's a particular other person that might throw them off the balance, and it's almost like the character's flagging up to the other person, like, this
is a warning.
Yeah, you're going to knock me off balance, and actually that's not going to happen. So if the concern about that happening persists, then watch out. So it's interesting that it does sound a bit more kind of rocky, given that it's this warning song. How else did this song end up sounding like it does?
We kind of, I was experimenting sort of with different like textures of sound. you know, whether it be like the synths.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were sort of messing around with some synths. Joe in the studio was laying down some crazy stuff, and like I think the mixing process sort of helped pull the song off almost.
Yeah.
I mean, we added this we added quite a bit of distortion on Max's bass.
Yeah.
And that like definitely helped pull it together in my mind. I wanted it to be super dirty, and it was sort of at a point it was like synth poppy, and I was like, I don't know about this. I mean, I like it, but
it needs to be more aggressive.
It needed to be more aggressive, but also I added the horns, kind of made that with that line, and then the solo at the end, sort of getting out there. I mean, I wanted it to really tear it up, you know. I wanted it to really like scream. So
yeah,
I don't know. But that was sort of the grand design. I just wanted it to be, you know, it is like fairly poppy and definitely like a different type of sound for like what I've been generating. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. You gotta try it, I guess. So yeah,
it works. It works nicely, and it's obviously similar to the song that's like declaring things are really bad. I'm absolutely dying. Unlike some of the other ones, which are like I'm alive, it's good.
Right.
If that's the focus and there's the warning to someone, it makes sense that it should be like a bit more aggressive and a bit more distorted and a bit more kind of rocking. On the other side of that, we get the Bright Side 1, which is the one with the choir, which includes you and your brother, Michael Sodnick and Kevin Scott, Jake and Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody.
Yeah. This is, again, like one of the most, or alongside The Window, perhaps the most introspective song.
This again is another bit of advice. It's another warning, but not a negative one.
Is this more of a warning to oneself?
This is like, you know, you gotta get out of whatever you're in order to like love life again, or love whatever you are trying to love.
This one begins, before you love again, true love must be your friend.
Yeah.
Looking on the bright side, baby. And that's the refrain.
Right.
And we have two songs where there's a recurring refrain, something that I want to do.
Yeah.
Also, like those, I find it interesting that there's the two of them next to each other, because it's almost like a mantra, you know. Get back to thinking on the bright side, be aware of what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it's less of a, like, you better watch out, like, if only you act differently, then I'll be okay. And it's more of a, okay, I better
this is more of
think
like
about my own balance.
This is more of like a be in the moment, like we're back at the ball almost in this song, is what I
would
say.
Brightside.
Yeah, in Brightside.
And why is it Brightside 1? Brightside 2 comes in like right at the end of the record, and it's spelled 2, not the number 2, but like as well.
Yeah.
So what's the significance of those two like sister songs?
Basically just finding a different way to reinterpret this feeling of that is conjured up by the Brightside 1. Basically a reharmonization of that song and a restatement of the melody again, as a theme in the record, and having that removal of all associations with the lyrics. That's always been sort of fascinating to me, and how, like, you know, back in the day, like, you know, jazz did that with like combo music, so you're like able to really internalize how you're actually feeling when you hear just the sound, because there's enough going on, you know.
Right. So there's the lyrics. So we're at like the dark center of the record. We've just had "I'm absolutely dying," and now here, although it's called the bright side, the whole point is that we're currently not able to be on the bright side or see things on the bright side. But then later on, when the song resurfaces without those lyrics, it's kind of cleansed and exercised of that feeling. Yeah?
Yeah. It's a sweet, sweet kiss goodnight or whatever.
Yeah. Because it's, to my mind, referencing the London Underground. My favourite lyric on the record is, "Mind the recent gap between you and the reason for feeling on the bright side, but try to be around. This shit could run aground if you're not looking on the bright side, baby. So,
Right.
like,
It's more of an advice column.
yeah.
I mean, seriously.
But, yeah, self-help
Yeah,
bit, as you were saying.
Yeah.
It's almost, to me, it seems almost like a remedy to watch out.
Yeah,
'Cause watch out,
exactly.
you know, we can often like put too much emphasis on the negative role that someone else is playing.
Yeah.